Hi everyone, my name is Byron and I'm going to be your teacher assistant for this course. So today on this video we're going to see many useful tools to debug your applications. Specifically, we're going to see how to use the system log, the stack trace, and how to write messages to the Logcat and how to debug your app. So today I want to show you which is the application that we're going to use for this video. It is a very basic application. It's an application to create new contacts and basically to add to a contact list. But right now we only have one activity and I want to show you that it's a very basic application. So I can add a new contact right here like name, phone number, and I'm just going to add my new contact. So if you see, I just created a new contact. This is the application that we are going to show today. So looking at the code, it's a very basic code, but I'm going to explain to you what we're doing right here. So we're getting the reference from the edit text. As you know, I'm referencing from the layout. From this main activity layout, I'm getting the reference for the name, the last name, the email, and the phone number. So basically, I'm just getting a reference from these views right here. And then I have a listener for the button. I'm first referencing the button to create a new contact, and then I'm adding a listener. And on this onClick method that is called when we just click this button, as you can see, I'm just getting the strings from the reference from this edit text. So I'm getting the reference for the name, the last name, the email, and the phone number. Then I'm just creating a new contact object and I'm passing. But I want to show you that we have here an object called contact, and it's a very basic class. We have basic information for a contact, name, last name, email, and phone number. But I want you to notice that we have phone number. The phone number value is an int. So for all the parameters, we have string, and we have an int for phone number. Just keep in mind that we have an int for phone number. So right here, when we create a new contact, as you could see before, we need an integer for phone number, but the edit text usually gives us a string. So the thing that we want to do is to parse this string to an integer. Maybe you have any other way to do this, but right now I'm working this way. So then I'm just calling this method right here, create new contact, receiving the parameters that I'm just taking from the edit text, as you can see. Then I'm just creating a new object, contact, that I showed to you before right here. So I'm creating a new contact with the name, last name, email, and phone number. Last, I just clear all the edit text. So I'm just setting empty strings for edit text. So after the tap, we tap on this on the create contact. All the edit text just clears with an empty string. So right now our app looks really good. I think it looks like it works, but we have some issues in this application, and I'm going to show you right now what is happening. If we don't work in that right now, so for example, what happens if I just forget to enter a phone number for my contact, and that's the reason that I told you before. Remember, the part of the code right here, so in Java, when we pass an empty string and we pass a null string to this method parse_on right here, what do you think we're doing? We're going to have right here. Basically, we're going to have an error. But I want to show you how this error looks on Android. Suppose that we are going to enter again a web contact, John. Suppose that I don't know what is the phone number for this contact. or I just can't remember right now and I want to add the phone number. But later, and not right now. So if I type create a new contact, what do you think is going to happen right here? So let's see. If I type right here, Android is giving me a message telling us that the contact list has stopped. So right here we have an error. We have a crash on our app. And what do you think is happening right here? Well, it's basically the thing that I told you before. We're having an error in this parse, right? But how can we see that? How can we see what is happening right here? For that, I'm going to show you a tool that we have right here on Android. We have this Android monitor. This tool right here is also known as the system log. So in the system log, it shows message from the system and any particular app process. This message includes information from apps running on the device. So it means that right here in this console that we see right here, also this part is known as a Logcat. So in the Logcat, we can see messages from the apps that we are actually running on our device or our emulator. And it's very important that we also know that we have many filters right here to filter or to show different messages on the Logcat. For example, we could have different emulators. Right now, I only have one emulator, so I only have one right here. Also, I could see all the apps that we have on the emulator, and you can see we're actually telling the Logcat to show me the message from our app to the contact list. And also, we could filter the message that I have right here. For debug info warn, this is warnings error or asserts. It's very useful for you to have, for example, if you want to see errors from your application, you could choose error. Or if you are debugging some messages that we are going to see how to do this, you choose debug. Or you want to see all the message from your application, you choose verbose. Basically, if we see this red message that we have right here, and this message is known as stack trace. So stack trace shows you a list of method codes that leads to exceptions or to an error. It's really useful because it shows you the file names and the line numbers where the code happened. So you can click on the highlighted file names to open the files and look for the source of the method invocation. So if I click on this main activity highlight that I have right here, it shows me where the error is happening on my code. It's also very useful that you have many highlighted files right here because it shows all the codes that take me to the error. So you just have to click on the first file that you have right here, and it's usually the file in which the error is happening. So if I want to show you this, show to us the main activity and the line number 37, if you want to see it, or if you don't have the line number right here, you just right click here and show line numbers, and you're going to see that this is the line 37. So this is a very basic introduction on how to use the stack trace, and basically it is to see where the error is happening on my Android application. But right now, I want to fix this code and show you how to debug our application. So I worked on a solution for the error that we had before. So I'm going to show you how I fixed this error that we had with parsing the phone number. Maybe you're going to have other solutions for this. If you search on the internet how to solve this problem on Java, You're going to have other solutions, but I'm going to go with my solution, this solution. And also, I think you're going to have a repository to get this code. So my solution is basically to have a method. And I'm going to use a try catch. So this code is going to try to parse this string phone number. And if it is not possible to parse, maybe we have here an empty string or another string is going to return a null. So then, after calling this method, parse phone number, I'm going to check if parse phone number is different from null. I'm going to create a new contact. So basically, I'm telling Java to only create the contact if we have a valid phone number in. So if I run this code right here, I'm going to add again my contact. So now if I forget to add a phone number, or if I don't know what is the phone number for this contact, nothing happens. So I'm not calling the method that created the contact and declared the edit text. So right here, this code is incomplete because we need to show the user a warning telling the user that they need to enter a phone number, a valid phone number. But for example, for our example, this is correct right here, right now. But what happens if I add a valid phone number? It works. It works because the method right here is giving us a valid integer. So we create a new contact. So if you look our app right now, we just create a new contact. And suppose that this application right here is work on progress. So it means that we started to work on this activity, but we need to create a list. But before creating a list, we want to know how the contact list object looks right here. So for that case, we have something called the Logcat. So as I told you before, we could write message to Logcat, and I'm going to add a call right here to show you how to add message to the Logcat. So now, as you can see, I have a new line of code right here on the code. I'm going to explain what I just did right here. So I'm using this class calling log. With this class, it is basically we use log class to write message to the Logcat to write here. So we have many options right here. Right now, I'm going to use the log.d. It means that I'm writing D to the Logcat, but I'm writing to the filter, debug. Also, we have many options. For example, if I want to write, I want to debug, or I want to show an error right here, I could use a log.e. And it means that I'm going to show my message right here to the error filter. But for now, and for this example, I'm going to use the D, the debug, but I would like you to go to explore debugging or showing message to the different filters. So right here, I'm using the log and the debug. And also I have a tag. So this tag is how our message is going to show right here. And a key for a message. So if you want to see the code right here, and it has a new constant, and this constant is basically having the main activity, the name of my activity on my package. So I'm going to show the tag, and then I'm going to show the information about my contact that I created right here. So if I run this code, so right now, if I, let's change our contact and then phone number. If I create a new contact, and I'm going to the Android monitor, since I'm using the debug, I'm going to use the debug, or also you could choose verbose. You could see that we have a message. The message that we have right here, the tag is right here. I'm using the main activity. This is the tag. Then I'm displaying the new contact created string. And this is the string that we have right here. And then I'm displaying the information from contact. And I'm using the toString method. If we're going to the class contact, you could see that I override the toString method, adding the values from this class. So when you call toString, you're going to see the information about the contact. So here's the name, the last name, the email, and the phone number. This is basically how you display a message to the Logcat using the log class. So right now I want to show you that we have another problem in our application. If you pay attention to the new contact created right here, we have the name is correct, Mary, right? The last name looks weird because it's the same as the name. The email is correct. The phone number is correct. But I want to show you that we have a problem right here now in our code. So I'm going to add a new contact, a different contact, the contact that we added before, for example. So pay attention and see that we have different values for name. And for last name, so the user is basically doing correct. So if I create a new contact and I come here, I see that we have a problem right here because we have a name and we have a last name. We have the same value for the name and for the last name. So what is happening here? Since this is a very short code and it is not that large file of code, and we don't have a lot of files of classes and activities right here, maybe for you it's simple to see what is the error right here. But suppose that we don't know what is the error. But we know that the error happened when we created the new contact. If you start to find out what is the problem right here, maybe it could be something when we get the values from this edit text. So we have other tools that I want to show today. It is the debugger. So with the debugger, we can see when our application is running. We could see the real-time values of variables that we have on Java right here. So I want to show you how to use the debugger to see what is happening right here. And what are the what we're going to be the variables that we have right here. So as I told you before, we're going to use the debugger tool that includes Android Studio. This enables you to debug apps running on the emulator or a connected device. So with debugger, you can select device to debug your app, set breakpoints in your Java code, and also examine variables and evaluate expressions at runtime. So we're going to do this right now. To start a debugger, we just first need to set a breakpoint. So as I told you before, I think the error is happening when we get the values from here, when we tap on the create context. So if we go to onClick method, we could set a breakpoint right here. To set a breakpoint, we just click on this side of the Android Studio, and if we tap left click, we just set this breakpoint. So when we are running on debug mode, the code is going just to stop right here. So let's go to see how to start a debugger. To start a debugger, we just need to start our app right here, not here, on debugger mode. So we just need to tap right here on the debug icon. Then we just need to restart up. We just choose which simulator we want to debug our app. And then we go to our emulator. We're going to see that we're running on different modes. So right now our application is running on debug mode. And also it's important that we have our console that just started right here, and we have a new option right here, a debug option. So I'm going to use our app as usual. I'm going to add again my contact. And so I'm going to create a contact, and let's see what happens right here. So when I type create contact, it looks like our application is freeze right now. It looks like it's not working. But what really is happening right now is that the execution of the application is just stopped. And it's stopped by the debugger. So if we come right here, we see that we have a highlighted line where actually the application is stopped. And we also see this console of the debugger. This is very interesting because we could see the state of the variables in real time when our application is running right now. So we have many tools to use the debugger. Also, we can see right here in Run. We have these are all the options for the debugger. The most frequently used tools right here are step over and resume program. So I'm going to use the step over. Also, we have these tools right here, these options right here. So if I tap on step over, you see that the execution of our program continues on the next line. And this is really interesting because if you go right here, you can see the state of the variables. So right now I get the values for name. On the step before right here, I get the name. I get the string on the edit text. And I'm just saving on the name variable. So right now I see that my name variable has the reference to a Mary string. And if I again step over here, so now I have the last name variable. And the last name variable is having also Mary. If I want to see the execution of all the code, I just keep doing the step over. But right now, I think you guys realize what's the problem right here on the code. Basically, using the debugger, we can see that on runtime of variables name and last name is having the same value. But the reason for this is because we are getting the value from the same edit text. So now that we just know what is the error, we could just move on. If you have more line of a debugger block of code, you could go ahead and step over. But right now, I know what is the problem. So I could tell the debugger to continue execution of the code. If I tap right here to resume program, right now my application is running. I just create my contact. So we are going to fix this right now. To fix the last name, you just get a reference to the last name edit text right now. I think we're going to have the correct value for the last edit text. It is also very important and useful that you also can see the object, how the object looks and how the variables of the objects look in real time. So I'm going to set breakpoint right here just to see how the contact object is created. And I'm going to tap again. Since we make a new change of the code, we need to recompile. So I'm going to again debug app. We have again our app running right here. And I'm going to add my contact and I'm going to create a contact, and then you can see again the debugger stops those lines. So I'm going to step over again, and as you can see, for name we have Mary, and for last name right now we have Smith. So it's telling us that we have the correct value for the last name because right now we reference the correct edit text. We are good right now. Well, now I want to see this breakpoint right here. So if I want to keep the step over and null to all the lines, you just tap resume program, and then you're going to see that the application stops on the next breakpoints that we have set right here on our code. So right now also the app is still freezing, like freezing. But I'm going to step over right here just to see what the contact is having. We could also have a reference. Since we have global variables right here, we are also able to see the global variables right here on the variables area. So we have Mary for name, for last name we have Smith, and email Mary, it's correct, and also the phone number also is correct. So I'm going to step over, and this is very interesting because we have the object contact. So if you come here, you'll see that we have the variable contact right here. But the very interesting thing is that if we open right here, we could see the variables or the instance variables of these objects. So as you remember, for the contact, we have a name, last name, email, and phone number. So we could see right here the email, last name, and phone number that this object is actually having for this instance. So as you can see, we created a good contact right now. If I just resume the program, and if we could go to the Android monitor, we see that we have right here the new contact created. Name Mary, last name Smith. It is correct. We have the correct value for email and the correct value for phone number. So right now in our app, we fixed the many errors that we have on this screen for now. So I hope you guys learned how to use the debugger, how to read the stack trace errors on the Logcat, and that's it for this video.